Hello, we are the prescription drug policy area. My name is Mario.
I'm Carlos.
Uh, First off, we were just gonna introduce the topic. It's just the price of prescription drugs in the U.S. So far, the U.S. is the one that spends majority of their money on health prescription drugs, and the fact of the matter is that drug companies set the prices, whereas in other countries the government is in control of putting the price for these prescription drugs. And as you can see in this graph we have on the price for prescription drugs around the globe, the US prices for medicines are much higher than any other countries in the world. Even with the discounts that we offer through our health insurance, the prices are still higher than most other countries. And we have some examples right here on the bottom talking about how Harvani insures are 50% higher than the UK, and part of the reason why prescription drugs are so high is due to our spending in healthcare as well, where we spend 4,197 per capita in the US, which is a much more than other countries except Norway and the Netherlands.
Yeah, so Harvani is just one of the many examples that we could have provided, but we didn't want to oversaturate this with stats from different medicines. But it's a constant trend that drugs in the United States cost several times more than other countries, not just the UK, like Spain, Germany, a lot of modern first world countries. Yeah, so that's a common issue. Okay. So the other policy alternative is importing drugs from Canada, which is a practice that people have been doing illegally for quite some time now. Don't have the exact numbers, but there have been suggestions that this be legal so that people don't have to pay as much money for their drugs, as opposed to the U.S. fixing this themselves, because you have to find one solution either which way. So yeah, drugs, as we stated earlier, outside of the United States are cheaper, and Canada is very right next to us. So importing drugs from not just Canada but foreign countries, it can definitely help us reduce our spending. So see right here, the United States does spend 1,000 more per person per year than Canada, as we got from Bernie Sanders. Their medicine is much more affordable. So, we said earlier, since this is a practice already done illegally, a stat we pulled out is that 72% of Americans support the importation of this as so they can get their drugs more easily. And what was this again? What was the CBO?
Congressional Budget Office.
Yeah, the Congressional Budget Office concluded that the average prices for patented drugs in other industrialized countries 35 to 55% lower. So that's pretty significant. And depending on subdrugs, which could cost tens of thousands of dollars, I feel like it's definitely worth it to import those drugs to take that risk and go through that time.
And I'd like to add that even though we do pay more than Canada for prescription drugs, Canada is right there next to us in the amount they spend for prescription drugs. So if we would go with this option, it wouldn't provide sufficient nationwide relief. Okay. Another alternative that we got was where we allow Medicare and Medicaid to negotiate better deals. And so currently, right now, Medicare and Medicaid are not allowed to bargain with the drug companies to get a better deal for consumers. And so even But the information, the deal contracts that are released by the drug companies, or done with drug companies and private insurance, are not released to the public. So even if we would try to do this auction, there would be no place where we would start. Studies showed by the Bernie Sanders Bernie Sanders website says that 83% of Americans want the federal government to negotiate better prices with the drug companies. And as we stated in the beginning, the drug companies are the ones who set the prices for the prescription drugs that we do take. And so by allowing the federal government to negotiate better deals, it would switch from the drug companies back to the federal government, which is something other countries do except for us. People pay a lot out of pocket for their prescription drugs, and as I said in the beginning, even though these private insurers provide discounts for their prescription drugs or any other prescriptions, it doesn't really cover most of the cost, or if not all. People still have to pay out of their own pockets. As you can see there, we have a $2.25 compared to $5.60 to any other any brand name drug.
Okay, so for shortening the competition for generic drug companies, when a new drug is released to the market, the people that manufacture that drug and have created that drug usually get a frame of 20 years where they have exclusive rights to making that drug and selling that drug. So as you could understand, it's not a monopoly, but it's like they have complete control of that. So they completely control the price, and this could be an issue like for life-saving drugs. Like if you guys remember the thing with the pharma bro Shkreli, he inflated the price of the drug he bought by, I think, like, what was it, like 1,000% or something?
Yeah, 1,000.
Yeah, anyway.
Ridiculous.
It was a lot, yeah, but this was as a result of this because nobody else could make that drug. You can't make generics for a really long time. So they get to control the market.
Pretty much, we have some stats on there talking about how generic drugs will save the United States money. That's about it. This pretty much concludes our policy area of prescription drugs.